Welcome to the Sparky Coach podcast. This platform was built by Sparkies for Sparkies. We simply exist to make business owners more profitable, or businesses more profitable and more predictable. So we want to work with people that work hard because we love working hard too, that work smart because you got to be on top of the business, people that are kind because no one likes a dickhead. Am I right? People who want results because that's what we're here for, right? And people who want to be part of a like-minded community. So if you're interested in hearing more about the platform, please reach out and enjoy the podcast. Sparky Coach Pod, Crowe here with the big dog, the biggest dog, the Heath dog, the Hspark dog,
Oh
Heath
no.
Knight.
What's happening, Crow Dogs?
I like that plant in the background, strategically placed.
It's very, very pretty.
Hey, how was you went on a bit of a Calypso tour?
Yeah,
How was that?
yeah, it's really good. It was nice to see a product and like understand that why you pay a little bit more to see how it is developed. We're like an advocate, like always Clipsal, essentially. And it was reassuring to us to kind of be like, oh, okay, like I definitely understand why it's a bit more than other brands. Um, Essentially, yeah, it was very eye-opening, I would say.
Yeah, so when you say religiously clips or you won't install anything else?
No, no, we install everything else. It's just that we go pretty hard with Clipsal. Like if we're quoting a job, it's always like Clipsal Pro Series or Clipsal Iconic or C2000. Like it's always that. It's not like we look at any other brand and go, oh, we'll try this brand instead for a price point. We just always essentially go with Clipsal until maybe possibly where something else is spec'd, then we will look around.
If it ain't yellow clips or classic series from 2005, send it back. I reckon slightly
Yeah.
off yellow. Yeah, it's interesting. We used to yeah, obviously anything in cupboard, obviously always classic series or just anything like obviously matching existing a lot. But for a lot of new places, we were installing clips or it's escaping me now, the Slimline series. What was that called again back in the
Black,
day? Say that again.
Black Hat.
No, 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 no. I'm talking way back, and they actually stopped that. They had that really slimline one, and they stopped it.
Yeah.
Someone's listening. Someone's listening, going like, "It's this, it's this." I can't remember. I'm just gonna Google it. Give me a second.
Oh, he's trading a flat cat. I don't know.
Nah, it's killing me. Clips or whatever. It was Clips or Slimline. I don't even know. Someone messaged me and literally have a go at me. Anyway, so they took that off the market, but it actually looked pretty clean. It was like a minimalist sort of reasonable cost. They took it off and Hagar Silhouette sort of came onto the market. And I was like, well, that's heaps better than the classic series. That I think it was when the sort of Iconic took over. But I personally have never really vibed with the aesthetics of Iconic personally. Yeah, it's not my jam. It's not my jam. But I do live in a house that's like 140 years old. So maybe that's why it's too futuristic for me. So whatever. Anyway, that's interesting. How was the crew you went down with? Who'd you go down with?
Jaden from Red White, back from Addicted to Tools, and then Jimmy from Eastern Electrical.
Cool. So yeah, it's pretty solid crew you've got sort of going in
Like,
there.
like the C&W boys as well. The C&Ws are the ones like C&W and Schneider are the ones that made it happen. They obviously worked on the back end to sort it out. Yeah, so we went with a few C&W boys as well.
Nice one. Now tell us a bit about how's Hspark. What's the latest? Give me the rundown. Where you at?
Um, I would say we're probably a little bit quieter than I'd like to be, which is probably like yeah. We're working with a few other Sparkies, been doing some subbing with other people, which has been good. Now, like we're just kind of starting to roll in the door now. So a bit of a slow start to the year, but nonetheless we're going and covering bills. So yeah, got a
I,
few.
I, I don't know. I don't know very many people that haven't experienced a slower point. What was like? what's your advice? Because I remember, you know, whenever we first started catching up, when was that? Like June, July, something along those lines, May, like a year
When
ago?
first time ever.
Was that 2 years ago?
Well, yeah, it would have been around February, March last year.
Yeah. Something like 12 to 15 months ago.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
and it's so interesting because the reference points like we're so busy, we're so busy, we're so busy, we're so busy, we're so busy. And this is a typically to a lot of people's business journey. And then it seems to fall off a cliff and to be like, oh my gosh, we're quiet. And that's can be due to like a growing team. So it's like, we're busy at 80 hours, but now I've got 200 hours moving through us or 300 hours, or it can just be sometimes it's pricing. You price yourself out of that sort of startup phase because you get to know your numbers and it's like the work you used to get, you don't get anymore because you're different price now, you know your numbers and that client wasn't that ideal anyway. And sometimes it's like there's all these quotes coming in 3 to 6 months ago and I didn't get back to them and I was like, damn it, I should have got back to them. And can you sort of put your finger on something that you could have, should have, would have done differently in that? What would you?
I would say, like, obviously, we were doing like the fuel extension, the car yard and whatnot. Like, we had a massive team change, like, massive shift. Kind of, one of the boys left to go to the mines. We had the job happen that we don't talk about. Um, and then like one of the other boys, he just didn't want to be a Sparky anymore. So then obviously Nick come on, brought his lad, and then we hired and fired. So just a bit of a like transition period, trying to find people to fit those roles. And obviously I was in the tools like all the time. And then kind of couldn't find tradies. And yeah, like I would say like I done. It's easy to look and say like, oh yeah, I should have done more quotes, but I was redlining as it was like anyway. So like I physically couldn't have done more anyway, like without not sleeping. So and then when we kind of hit that Christmas period, we were booked up a little bit, but then we got two tradies like in the span of a day, and like I kind of took the approach of like, well, I might as well just take it and run with it rather than, we didn't really need them, but I was like, oh, we need them for so long that we'll just take it and find the work. So I think it was, yeah, just kind of like opportunity I grabbed in an opposite sense of like, I grabbed the labor, didn't have the work instead of having the work and then trying to find the labor. Um, and yeah, so that doubled, you know what I mean? That added, like you said, 80 hours of work plus another car. So yeah, it just is that everyone gets it. And for people that don't know, most people do, but like everyone's pretty much a tradie. So like our lowest form of employee is a fourth year. So it technically a tradie. So then everyone else is a tradie. So yeah, like there's probably a few things I would have done looking back, but I wouldn't say it on the podcast. Yeah, but, yeah, it's just like, yeah, the opportunity came and I thought, oh, I'll just grab it and we'll just swing it and hope for the best. And then now we are now at the point we're at now, so one tradie is leaving, or virtually left, because on his last week, he just wants to do something else. And then we've replaced him with a third year. And then we're potentially going to put on a first year, which will give us more of that entry level jobs because some things are just so hard to price. It's almost like we have to do the job and just know that we're not going to make, a much percentage on it because they're both tradies. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting matrix, isn't it? And I want to encourage anyone out there. My reflection was typically I could say that we're in a quieter stage. I had a couple of times when I was like, I feel like that just was so unforeseen. I'm sure anyone that has existed around when COVID first hit, there's those out of the box things that happen. It's like, what? There's no way that I could have foreseen that happen. I had a few 18-month jobs cancelled, like three within a month, which I thought I was cooking. and we sort of had to reinvent the wheel and get contracting and stuff like that, and just hustling again. And then, but typically it was like, I think when you're keeping your finger on the pulse with every single week, closing the week, how much work is coming up, how much work have I got right now, stop traffic, who's my best clients. Like, I think just slowing down to speed up was always my advice. And the critical thing, and for me, was always, I think I was, and this is a pretty typical business owner reflection. I think I was too nice a lot of the times. Like, I was too nice to either hold on to people that I shouldn't have, or hold on to clients that I shouldn't have, or I was trying to make, one specific example comes back to me. I was trying to make a client fit into our pricing structure, fit into our box, when I probably shouldn't have. I was trying to basically force prices and I was putting our best people on arguably our worst client, and it was creating the most drama. And it's not until I peeled it back and I was like, oh, I'm spending 20%, like I'm spending, 80% of my time, energy, effort, money trying to make this 20% client happy. And it was just a big journey of self-discovery, of self-reflection, of looking within and being like, oh, that's just come from my insecurity, because I felt bad to let them down, or like, even deeper, I wanted everyone to like me. So I'm like, well, I'll put a price out that they're happy with because I want to be liked, or I don't want to be seen as ripping anyone off, but I don't know my numbers. I'm gonna be just pissing in the wind, and all of a sudden I got piss all over myself. And I'm like, yeah. So, which is interesting. Anyway, that's my reflection. Don't need you to elaborate on that. That's just what I was sort of going through. So yeah, cool. Big times. And how important, I know you've just put out a post on socials last week or Thursday, Friday or something, and you were sort of advertising for an apprentice or tradie or whatever. How important has the social media side of things been to you to drum up contacts, to drum up potential future employees, to drum up clients? Like, how do you see that? Like, what's some cool stories you've got in that sort of social networking, for lack of better wording?
Yeah, I'd probably say, like, obviously, yeah, obviously in social media everyone knows, like, Jaden 40. And I guess probably, like, best thing for me out of social media is probably just meeting those two things, having them as mates now. Because, like, I don't have any mates in electrical where, like, my mates don't run electrical businesses. If they do, they're like, they're just a subcontractor. They're either a subcontractor or they're just like a sole trader. They're not trying to, get a team and whatnot. So probably I'd say, like, networking with, like, those boys has been really good, just for, like, if I have a question, or, just seeing how they operate and whatnot. And then I'd say in terms of hiring, it's been good. Like, I've had, obviously, like, one of the boys we have now, he came from social media. I wasn't even looking. He just messaged me and said, oh, you got any jobs going? Like, I'm coming down to Sydney. I was like, yeah, we'll give you a go. And then the apprentice that we're just about to start, same thing. He's been following us for a while, like maybe like a year or so. And then, like, we put an ad out and he kind of jumped straight on it. And yeah, so I'd say for hiring, it's like, it's been good. In terms of work, I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure. Gotten jobs here and there, but nothing, how do I say, nothing of, like, substance that's, like, created a big relationship where you're like, oh, I'm so glad I posted that reel. And we don't advertise on Instagram either, like, for the work we do. I just feel like half the ads I see that these guys put out there come to me, and I'm not looking to have my switchboard upgrade. So it's like, I don't really, yeah, I don't think social media is a place to advertise. But then you could have someone like Jimmy from Eastern said that he advertised, he done a paid post and picked up a builder from it, and now, he does 7 to 8 builds a year for him. So yeah, I couldn't say, for me personally, I couldn't say that it's caused any sort of work influx. But definitely hiring and then networking and like creating, mates in the industry has been great.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I was chatting to someone this morning, and just about, like, you don't know where your next job is going to come from. It could come from that $200 job that you help out someone,
Yeah.
like, oh, my son-in-law is a builder, my brother's a builder, you come to my commercial property. I remember we did this job one day, and it was, I can't remember what it was, like a $350 job. and went there, and she was like, "Oh, I'll get my husband to call you." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And he had, like 10 commercial factories with a whole bunch of commercial work there. There's just, so you just don't know where that next gig's coming from. And I think it's interesting because most of us would have 5 to 10 completely ideal clients, or 3 to 5, depending on your definition of ideal, but like that you would pull over and stop traffic for. And if you asked 100 people, there's probably 100 different stories of how they met them and how they got into them. And I think that's the coolest thing. You don't know how you're going to meet that ideal client. You don't know. I look to, for me, for socials, for instance, when I first jumped on the social media train about 18 months ago, I didn't even know who anyone was. And so many people have just been so supportive of our platform and program, and told their friends and family, and it's like, oh, I had no idea that person was connected to there. And I think there's such such a lot smaller world than you think across industries. So it's cool. But yeah, so where are your focus points right now? Because you've almost moved into like a full-time sort of office role, part site, part office. But where are you spending your time? What are you doing? And how do you feel you're going?
Um, uh, yeah, I'm in the office like full time. I would, how do I explain it? I would say, and yeah, you jump from the tools to office is very mentally challenging. I guess I've spoken to a few people about it. I guess like in terms of like mental health hasn't been the best for me to jump into the office. Like, and I know like you can go site visit and check this and check that, but um yeah, I battle with like a guilty conscience of, oh, I'm not doing enough if I'm out on a site checking a job, whatever it is. I think I need to be doing more. If for some, I've just always been like that, which is slowly changing. And then, yeah, to kind of grasp like that, you just kind of rock up to the office each day and try and get work is like odd, a very odd thing to when you're on the tools every day, you're doing like you're like got this task to complete and you're completing it. When you're in the office, it's like you've got 300 tasks to complete, but only 100 are important. But then only 50 are super important. But then only 20 need to get done. So it's like you've got 300 things to do, but only 150, you think you need to do, but only 50 you have to do, but then 20 you definitely need to do. So it's like a very odd concept to grasp. Like I think anyway. Um,
Yeah, I actually, this is so funny because it's a Beauty and the Beast reference. It's a tale as old as time, that weapon on the tools goes into the office and struggles. And I think I was chatting to someone this morning on this exact same thing. They're in the transition into full-time office, and they're like, I'm just feeling so bad that I'm not on the tools with the boys and girls, like ripping and tearing. I'm feeling bad to that client because I handled that portion of it. I'm feeling bad to this staff member that we used to work so well together. I'm feeling insecure because I was once so good at something. And it's interesting because and holistically, you probably spent 4 year apprenticeship and 10 to 15 years honing this skill set that you use every day, that you do as second nature. You're like, oh, I'll just put that there, do that, and it feels good to be good at something. And then when you change to something that you're not necessarily trained in the office, where I think everyone is untrained, uneducated, and unproductive at the start. And for me, I was not only that, but I was also piling on some serious kilos from some chicken burgers and too many lattes, that you're exhausting up so many calories up ladders and back down and around, back and forth. And now I'm like, well, I sit in a chair all day. So I think for me, it was the and then that took a toll on me, going like, well, I don't look my best, I don't feel my best, I feel weird. And then I'm trying to work really hard, and my production rate is really low, and I'm not going surfing or in the water because I'm feeling bad, because I'm not good at something and I'm trying to get better at it. So it's almost this like this it's not so it's like it's almost like a vicious cycle or a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I think it took me a while to get comfortable in there. For me, it was repetition. Like, don't the secret is repetition. How do you do the same thing and better? How do you get better every single day? Writing out big lists and working out what's achievable or not. That's another thing that's huge, which is underrated. I remember trying in the office at the start, trying to get like 30 hours of stuff done in an 8 hour day. And I consistently get in the end going like, I haven't achieved it again. Ah, again. And it was really cracking. It was just like whacking myself in the back of the legs every day. Like, why can't you do it? And I'm like, oh, I reckon I'm just trying to get too much done. So it was a whole learnt skill side of things. And also the convo I had with the person this morning who shall remain nameless, he was sort of saying, I'm a weapon on the tools and this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not really that good on the tools. Like, no offense, but like maybe you are good on the tools, but when your phone's ringing 50 times every 4 hours, when you've got to get that quote back, when you've got to get that response back, when you've got things to do at a higher level that dictate generating work, driving profits and that kind of stuff, you sort of like, you might be really good on the tools, but then you're on the tools thinking about what you need to do, and then you're not that good because your headspace is somewhere else. So I think it's really really interesting, and I've always said this about you, but one of your skill sets is just like meeting people, breaking bread with people, building relationships, whether that's clients or staff or like or it's probably pretty it. Or like, it's probably it. There's not much else. And I think just simplifying the role in a perfect sense. And a lot of the stuff you're doing, a lot of stuff you've been doing over the past 6 months has probably been recorrecting what was wrong, dialing Simpro in, recreating price books, just building stuff at the back end that I'm not saying it wasn't done properly to start with, because I think there's too much to do at the start anyway to worry about that. But yeah, what's your reflection on all that back end stuff you've been sort of investing into?
Conversation with Cam the other day, and I said to him, "Oh, I said I feel a bit overwhelmed with what to do." I said, I've got, like I said, I've got a list on Trello of like what I need to do, like for that day, like a brain dump, like Rylex says, and then I have like things that need attention. And what Cam said was like, okay, what's the most important thing that you need right now? And he said, work. And he goes, okay, so whether or not you create some sort of work structure that the boys don't get wrong on site, and that takes you 3 days, and then the boys have no work the next week, do you think it was that important? And I was like, well, probably not. And he's like, so if work's the most important, do your quotes. Don't worry about work structures and this and that and like, retuning this and retuning that. Because it's like, if you spend all this time doing it and then you have no work, that's going to be an expensive thing that you just done. So he's like, essentially, he's like, all that back end stuff, build it in your own time, or do like, 2-3 hours a week, like outside of work hours. But everything during the day is to get work for the following weeks or quotes or whatever. And when he said that, I'm like, it's so stupid, because I'm like, why didn't I even think of that? But like when he said it, I'm like, yeah, it's a good point. And all of a sudden I felt a lot calmer. Like, because like, yeah, I may have 10 quotes to do, but then I felt like I've got to do all these processes for work, and I've got to do, this, and I've got to do that. But like, if we have no work to do it on, it doesn't really matter. I don't even need that process. So
Yeah, you can
yeah,
have the sickest workflows, but if you've got no work or you're not making any money, there's no real point. I just finished a podcast actually, just talking about like what season you're in. You're in a driving revenue season, a driving profit season, probably both to be fair, but sometimes more than the other. Or are you going to controlling your time? And I think one of the hardest things I found was when I went full-time office was like finishing work on time, because the thing with the office stuff is there's always something to do. Like you could always open the computer tonight, you could always finish an hour later, you could always finish 5 hours later. There's always something to do. Where on site I found I was really good at compartmentalizing. Oh, okay, we've roughed that section in, yeah, we'll start here. It's 3 o'clock, like we're going home, I'm fully done. And I think you got to apply that same level of stop to the office. Otherwise, there's no end to it. And that's a learnt skill, because this jobs on site, you finish and you hand it over, or it'll come back for cut out and fit off, or I fit that off, I'm just waiting to fit off those two wall lights. So you can really work out a start and end point. But in the office, it's just like what you said, how long is my list? As long as a scroll. Cool. What's important?
wake up and straight into it. Like, My wife says every day, "Oh, what time are you home?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it won't be too bad today. God bless her soul." And she's like, "Oh, what time?" I'm like, "Oh, 4:30." And she goes, "Yeah, I'll see you at 6." And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Surely I have to walk up at 5:45." I'm like, "Told you it wouldn't be 6."
yeah,
So, yeah, you're right. It's almost like it's like Nick will give me a call and I'm like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And he goes, "Oh, heading home." It's like 2:30. I'm like, "Oh, do I just start at 6?" "Yeah, I start at 6." I'm like, "Oh, do you want to come to the office?" He's like, "Not really, man." And I'm like, "Damn it." I'm like, "All right." It's like, "Yeah, no, like I've got a few things I need to do, like at home, yada yada." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And guess why? I'm like, "Oh, I just want to talk about that job we have in 6 weeks." Because I'm thinking like, "Oh, well, if he comes now, we can work that out. We can do this." And it's like, it's just always something, eh? It's like, it's so hard, actually. It's a good point.
yeah. I think treating yourself like an employee and writing out what you want is really important. So like I want to be at the kids' stuff between 4 and 4:30 or 6 or whatever's going on and whatever age your kids are. If someone's listening, I think working out what you want and establishing an end point is critical. And then establishing like, okay, if my end point is 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 3:30 p.m., 3 p.m., 6 p.m., whatever it is, then the last 30 to 45 minutes of that has to be chalked out as space or close the day or wrap up or whatever, because there's always a couple of phone calls to make. There's those things you have to do, and we've all pulled into the driveway before, and or we've like, yeah, I guess pulled into the driveway is the best example, and it's like, I know I should go inside, but I need to get these 15 to 20 minutes of stuff just done, because if I go in, I'm going to be a shell of a human and I'm going to be thinking about the stuff I need to do. And there's no point being there if you're not present. And there's no, like, this interesting. So, there's always, every day presents half an hour of stuff to organize for tomorrow, make that additional phone call, do that, do that. So I think it's just working out. For me, I just got really good. If anyone listening to this, I did a session. There's Plan Your Admin Day and Plan Your Admin Day Part Two. They're on YouTube and Spotify, but they were really helpful to what I found worked for me in the office. And there's no magic formula, because essentially you're playing with a variable playing field of what cards was I dealt today. Am I dealt with 100 phone calls or 50 or 200 or none? What am I dealing with a disgruntled client or not? Am I dealing with a whole bunch of work or not? Like, there's lots of mitigating factors that sort of come into it. But I think the overarching thing is start, finish. I need 45 minutes in the morning and 45 minutes in the afternoon, and I got my set tasks that recur every single week. And that's one thing typically you don't get on a job site. You get a job site, you get, which is kind of exciting, you get mixed bag. What 10 PowerPoints am I doing today? Is it in a commercial factory, industrial factory? Is it in an office? Is it at a residential house? What kind of residential house? Like, your playing field's always changing, and be exciting. Where in the office, you've got recurring, boring stuff, and no one likes boring. But the magic really is in the mundane. If you can master the mundane in the office, then that's where the money is. But it's not exciting. It's not sexy. Well, sometimes it's sexy. I guess you would say sometimes, but yeah. So, and how are you? Yeah. So on a day you're in the office, like how are you? Where's your focus points, and how are you feeling?
Um, so I just depending depending on like I train, I'm not getting fat, so you can not have to worry about that, Chloe.
Do you want to give the people a little flex or a bit of shirt off action, or what do you want to give the
Hey,
people? No, no, sorry.
no, I was gonna say something, don't worry. Um, yeah, I'm like it. I'm slowly like working it out. Like, okay, I love like training, like 100%. I love training, but it's like you said, right? You can't train if you've got $150,000 tender to get out by tomorrow. You can't go to training, because then I don't even enjoy training, because I'm like, well, I should be doing tender. So I've just got a thing where, depending on what's the most important, like sort of like quote, tender, whatever it is to get out, I make sure that's like at the top of my list. So say like at the moment, I'll not train today because I have to do a few things in the morning. Then I had a site meeting. Then I had this. And then like say I got closed a week. That means like no training, which is fine. But if I go train, then I don't like close the week, or I don't start a quote. It's like more stressful. So now I'm just like, I just rate everything I've got to do that day, and then I just do it from there. So if like I said, if it's like for today, it was like coming into here to meet one of the boys walking through a job, and then to get to a site meeting, and then obviously do this, and then it'll be like close the week. Let's just say somehow I close the week during the day, and then I've done this, had time to train, I'll go train. So I just do everything like 1 to 5 each day. And then, yeah, it's actually been working really well. And then essentially, like, Nick offloads quotes to me with, like, you know, a description, yada, yada. I can get them out pretty fast. So we're just, yeah, we're starting to finally, like, work in sync now, which has been really good. But yeah, just like, it just takes so much time to understand that, like, being in the office and doing this role, it's like, I find it funny that like everyone that I talk to, oh yeah, one day I want to be in the office and like doing this and doing that, and you think it's like a bludge. You think like sitting in a chair is like the easy thing, but it's not. It's like you said, it's like you got to master the mundane, like things every day. You know, just same place, just going through things, and then you know when they're like, oh, it's 3 o'clock and go home, you're like, no, you haven't done that quote. You got to finish it. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, and
It's,
there's also like you got so much context and insight. I remember we had people from other companies come on. We were like on Ruffins and Fidos or any sort of project, commercial, industrial, or resi work. We were really dialed. So people would come to us and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, so we'll be here all week." I'm like, "Nah, man, we're out. Like in 2 days we're out, or in one day we're out, or in 3 days we're out." Oh, what? No one's gonna do it. And it's like, and I think you've got that track record and history of like we're really good at this. We're gonna blow that out of the park in this. So you've got context to that's a 3 days, that's 5 days, that's 2 hours, that's 4 hours, whatever. We're in the office, you don't really have that much track record or history, and you get that. And I think it's so interesting that you know, not everyone's made for the office, but I think you know, most typical business owners, you put them in their natural habitat, it's probably going to be breaking bread with people,
yeah.
building relationships with staff, building relationships with clients. It might not typically be pricing and numbers, but it might have to be to some extent. You have to know if you're making money really, that you have to, and then with that money you make, you have to be building some sort of wealth. So it's interesting to peel back and just be like, okay, well, you know, what natural habitat is going to be meeting people, talking to people, and on that, even with the communication of money, the more you get to know your numbers, the better you can communicate with people. The better you communicate with people about numbers and, oh yeah, cool, yeah, we can do that, 100 grand, 200 grand, 50 grand, 5 grand. The better chance you're at landing the job, and then you've got work into the future. So the stuff that's sort of generating revenue and driving profits is typically what a business owner got into it for, like, you know. And I think you know, you mentioned before about not training. It's funny because I go through it all the time. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't surf today. I've got things to do. And I'm like, no, I need to go surfing because that's a necessity to my headspace. The headspace then drives the revenue and drives profits because now I've got higher level context on things and I'm feeling good, which is huge. So I think it's just interesting to go on that mode. And then, you know, the
Oh,
pendulum swings.
add to mine is that. So I've got
Oh,
it in 3 to 4 times a week. Like that's
awesome. Yeah.
100%. Like that's without a doubt. But like I was doing like 6 or 7, like going, oh, I can't miss today, and like it was just causing so much stress. So sorry, I should add that. Like no matter what, I'll get 3 to 4, and that's like 3 bare minimum, and like 4's nice, 5 is great, but I usually have too much going on for 5. But yeah, no, sorry, I should have added that. Like yeah, nothing. I have to have that at least like 3. But before it was like if I didn't train every day, I'd be like, oh, this is crap. Like you know what I mean? But yeah,
I'm gonna die. And I was gonna say that the other Wednesday is like my quasi day. Do I work? Do I not work? It's time will tell. But I remember I had something to do, and the surf was good, and I was like, I probably just need to do this. But it's good. Look after yourselves wherever you are. In your headspace is so critical. Your health is so critical. Your time is so critical. And it's such a critical thing. Where everyone listening in, make sure you're dialing those in. Now, what are you excited about? Like, you know, Hspark has been through a huge transformational space. What gets the blood pumping? Like, where do you see the business in 1 to 3 to 5 years time? Yeah, what sort of drives you in that world?
at the moment, I'd probably say just like growth within myself, and like yeah, just like like yeah, such big growth like with like in just internally within myself, running the business and whatnot. And I would say like just like learning how to be a leader, like with the boys and whatnot, and like still maintaining, I guess, maintaining myself and not losing myself in the process. I would say like excited for. It's very hard. I feel like the world's really trying to tear everyone down at the moment. So it's like it's hard to keep positive, but like I always tell myself like, well, if if I'm not going to be positive, then who is? So it's kind of like yeah, it's obviously with everything going on in the world, it is a bit of an odd time, but like you just got to push forward. You know what I mean? Um, and you just got to keep doing whatever you're set to do. But yeah, it's hard. Like at the moment, it feels like I've gone through this massive like just shift in mentality of like obviously want to have another kid, want to build our house, and interest rates are going up. We've already got the land. We're now dealing with like some builders and prices, and it's just funny. Like it's yeah. So I guess like excited for and drive is for like my family and to have our own place, and then just to yeah, it's a mixed bag to watch like even like Nick watching him grow as a person is like awesome. Um, and then just adapting to everything that's happening in the world and then like changes within staff, like everything. Just like before, when certain things happen, I would kind of mentally clap out. Like I'd be like, oh no, what am I gonna do? Where like it's definitely changed now to kind of just like just roll with the punches and like obviously that's a big thanks to you as well. Um, like when you talk about seasons and whatnot, right? That's like been my biggest word lately. Like, what season am I in, and then what season am I going to be in? So, yeah, so much stuff. Like, that's such a hard thing to answer for one. There's just so many things going on at the moment that like we're excited for that drives me. But yeah,
No, I'm excited for you. Like, or I know it's been a up and down last few months for you,
mm,
and I don't think that's bad. I think it's been really healthy. You feel like you're way settled in yourself, and focused, and like more of like more of like a and I say this like more of like a business owner energy in terms of like it's there's a separation between Hspark and Heath Knight, and I love that. I think that
yeah,
that journey of separating the two is just so beautiful, and I'm so excited for you because I think you've got such a great future ahead in life and business. And with Ree and Airly, there's something so cool you're creating there, and you've got so many opportunities into the future, whether that is through socials and networking or electrical or all of the above. I think it's super cool. So pumped to
yeah.
see what life has for you. And if you could drop a final blessing or a final sort of like, if you take one thing away from this pod and one thing only, what would you say to the people?
But I knew this was coming, and I even thought about it in the car, and then I just started singing some song, and I was like, I'm just straight out the other side. Um, like everyone, I just think like back yourself, um, and don't let like what's happening in the world affect what you're doing now. Like, yeah, that would be yeah for me. I feel like just backing yourself and not letting like the head noise get to you too much. And if the head noise does get to you too much, then reach out to someone like yourself or like me, um, to have a chat. Really, like I think the biggest thing at the moment for everyone's like mental health. So I think yeah, just like backing yourself and what you're doing, believe in the process and believe everything's happening for a reason. Like 40 messaged me the other night because a few things happened and he just wrote blah 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 and I said God's plan, bro. And I said, yeah, 100%. Like it is what it is, you know what I mean? Yeah, that would be my 2 cents out of everything at the moment would just be that backing yourself, trusting in what you're doing and just not letting the head noise of the world and everything get in your way of, and bringing you down. Because essentially that's what it's made to do, right?
Now that's so beautiful. And I remember it's so interesting because a lot of someone said to me the other day, they're like, "Oh, how do you know that, or how are you confident in that area?" it was something they were going through, and I was like, oh, it's funny because a lot of the coaching, I guess it's more like consulting what we do over here. A lot of it has just come from either little mistakes or big mistakes or huge mistakes. And a huge mistake is something it's sometimes something in by itself can be out of context. So you look at it and be like, oh, why did I go through that? Like, how come that happened? But on the context of a 15 to 30 year plan or a 15 to 30 year like lineal timeline, it's like, oh, that had to happen in order for me to get here. And compare it to, say, building, it's like, oh, I guess you want to go up 10 stories, but you got to go down first. And it's like, why are you going down? I thought you were going up. And sometimes, the trade gods or the electrical gods or God or whoever sort of ordains this. We've got to go down first. We've got to get deeper. We've got to get the foundation set, whether that's for you personally or professionally, and got to get this in place first so we can get to where you want to get to. It doesn't make sense now. You don't understand why we're going down now, but it will make sense soon. So I think that's super cool. And I love that. And I think it's that holistic context of, not getting just swayed in the breeze. And I think that is the settling nature of being off the tools where you are swayed, on the tools where you are swayed, and getting off the tools into the office where you're much more sort of present, consistent, and pushing forward into your trade God ordained destiny of making money, building wealth, being kind. So thanks to Heath Knight for coming on the pod again.
Well,
You're much loved guest. So yeah, get out of here, have the best day ever, and don't hang this call up because it needs to load. So
really? I didn't know.
yeah,
I
yeah.
time.
Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you soon.
See ya.
That's a wrap on another podcast. Whatever you're doing, don't be too busy to stop and check if you're making money. And above all else, you know the rules. Be kind. See you soon.